So hi everyone, this is going to be my defender guide here, and this will be useful for people that haven't really figured out the role yet or just want to learn. And it's not really a racing or speed type guide, and I just want to say that usually a lot of people have their own defending methods, and you can use this to kind of help get a feel for one of the methods, and then you can branch off with it and do things that you find better. And also, I say it later in the video, but if you're going to defend, just please don't yell at people for using the cannon. Unless they're using blue eggs, the cannon is there to help and speed things up. We know you're trying to learn, but sometimes people shoot the cannon and then someone just rage quits. And I'll say it again, the cannon doesn't make you lose points. You lose points when you let a runner go back and escape through the cave. So the cannon is your friend here. I'll put in the description timestamps you can click on to advance in the video. It's going to be rather long, but I'll start off with like a picture of the kind of a bird's eye view of the Barbarian Assault Arena and kind of show you the method, where food goes, and then I'll jump into certain clips, and some of the clips show how to recover if a runner goes astray on you. So now I'm going to explain the defending method using this picture. So when the wave starts, you'll be on the first call. You're going to spawn in this area. You want to call for your healer and then click on the dispenser. After you get your food, you want to run straight north, and as you pass the cannon here, you want to click on 2 wrong food, and they'll end up next to the cannon here. After you drop those 2 wrong food, you're going to want to click near these spikes here, and as you get there, you can drop 2 good food, and it doesn't matter where they end up as long as they're in this general area. And then you want to click near the trap on your mini map, and as you're running there, you're going to click on food in your inventory and they'll fall in a line pattern towards the trap. And sometimes the clicks don't register, but you want to make sure that you get a line going here. When you're at the trap, you'll click on 2 good food directly next to the trap, so they'll be able to kill runners. You'll take a couple steps south and then drop 2 bad food that can be in the same square here. Just make sure they're at least 1 square south of the trap. You can even go 2. It's up to preference or just where you end up clicking at. After you drop these 2 food, you'll run around the cannon this way and head towards the logs, and you'll drop another 2 wrong food under the logs. So if the first call was worms, these 2 here, I usually drop crackers, and then these green ones will be worms because they're the right call. These 2 here, I would use tofu in this case, and then the 2 at the logs, one will be a cracker, one will be a tofu, and this kind of helps balance out the food you're using. So when you're around the logs, after you drop those 2 wrong foods, the second call will usually happen. So during the second call, you want to first make sure you have enough logs, then make sure you grab a hammer, and start by dropping a right food kind of near the cave they come out. Next, you'll want to run towards the trap, and if your line isn't looking too well, you want to also drop food along the way to keep the line going. Usually I'll drop 1 or 2, sometimes 0 if I still see a line there, but it's usually 1, and I drop it around there as I'm running. Now when I get to the trap, I try to get multi-kills when it's the higher waves, and I do this by standing 1 spot next to the trap, and I drop all my food there that I still have left over for the second call. And the number I drop is if I'm trying to kill 4 runners, I would drop 4 good food under them. If I'm trying to kill 3, I would drop 3 good food. And then after I drop them, I will fix the trap, and I'll wait standing on top of my pile of food. Once all the runners gather around, I'll take 1 step south, and then when you first take the step south, they'll all move onto the pile, and you'll see 1 runner die, and you'll see the rest just standing there. Now this is where you just have to pause and stand still and be patient. After a little while, then the rest of the remaining runners will eat the food at the same time, and they will die. So that's the general gist of the first 2 calls. Usually this will keep all the runners in this area, and then when you get into later calls, like the 3rd and above, the runners will still be in this area, and you can proceed to fix the trap and kill them if your multi-kills didn't work, and so what. Now, in the third call, this could also be a time to kind of recover from any problem runners. Now, problem runner could be one that got over here, or just any of them that kind of get in this south region here. Now we'll start by a problem runner south of the trap here. These are easy ones to fix. They usually kept walking past the trap. In order to get these back, you want to take whatever's not the call, take wrong food, kind of drop a line going back to them. They might eat it, they might not, but this will help force them back towards the trap where there could be good food waiting there for them to eat. Next is runners that kind of get in this area, so they start going back here, and they wouldn't be near this line of food you dropped. So usually you're around the trap and you start seeing problem runners and things are getting out of control. One of the things you can do is you'll still usually have some food left. You want to start kind of running back and drop as many of the wrong remaining food as you can, and then this is usually a good time to go back to the dispenser, get more food, and then kind of make sure that you have a diagonal line like this going on. And this will help take any runners that come this way. They'll see the diagonal line and they'll start following it, and it will help them funnel back into the trap. And I actually have a clip where a runner goes around the cannon here, hits this little diagonal line I make, and goes back to the trap. And then another runner that you can usually catch early is one that kind of goes over here in this area. Now, there's a couple ways to get it back, but the way I usually do it is if I still have kind of these going here and I still have some good food here, I'll take another good food and I'll drop it somewhere near it. So if the runner was this black dot, that would be a good spot to drop the good food, and hopefully they'll see it and they'll walk back this way. If not and they keep going this way, then I might hit them with some bad food that it could eat and get further up north, and then use the good food down here to try to pull it back in. So that was just an overview of what the method looks like and some things you can do when things get out of hand. And another good thing, just to mention the cannon, it's very helpful. Don't yell at people for shooting it when you're defending unless they're shooting blues, but if they're shooting red and greens, they can help you out, speed things up. And a way to help them out when they're on the cannon is to do things like these lines here, and that'll make sure the runners aren't standing on this wall here out of the cannon range. They could see this, and even if you don't get them to the trap, you can get them further enough north that they can be shot with the cannon. Alright, so I'm going to talk through a couple waves here. So this is wave 6, and I'm doing the usual start that I mentioned. I call for the healer, I click on the dispenser, and then I start running north. When I'm around the cannon level, I drop 2 while in stride, and then I click near the spikes, start with the 2 right food, click near the trap on the mini-map, and as I'm running, I drop a line of right food, 2 right food at the trap, and then the 2 wrong food south of the trap. Next, I run over to the logs, I drop my 2 wrong food there, and I pick up the logs. And the call just changed, so you have to be quick in your clicks so you can get all that done in the first call. So on the second call, I drop the 1 right food near the trap, and then that's where I noticed that I still have some worms laid down, and there's a pretty decent line. So I save my 4 crackers because I'm going to go for a multi-kill, killing the last 4 runners. And on wave 6 there's a total of 6 runners, so I killed the first 2, and now I'm waiting for these 4. So I had 4 food on the ground. They all stacked up. I took 1 step south, the top one ate it, and then right here you can see the rest of them eating it. Okay, so here's wave 4, and I'm going to put commentary over this because it just shows how I dealt with a runner that kept going south past the trap. And I'll talk, I guess I'll talk to wave 8 and 9, and then you can see in the description timestamps for all the other waves, and this video will actually include defending of every single wave 1 to 10, so that's why it's a little on the longer side, but if you don't want to watch it all, you can navigate through the bottom. Okay, so I just laid the whole first call, and then I'm going to lay the second call, and when I'm defending, I pay attention to things on the mini-map and see which runners are getting killed and which aren't. So I knew there that none of the first 2 had gotten killed at that time, so it was going to be slightly slower to get the one out of the cave so it could spawn. And then right there, the one runner broke through my block and started going south. And as you can see, I chased it and I dropped a line of wrong food, and I brought it back to the trap. And then at the trap, it's just a matter of dropping some more right food around it and stopping them from going south, and you can finish the wave. Okay, now I'm going to go show wave 8 here, because when I was doing this wave, for some reason I thought it was going to be wave 9, and then I confused myself, and then I ended up losing one of the runners and having to pull it back in. So even on this first call, I didn't make the greatest line. I got my 2 bad food to the south, and then I headed over to the logs. So I dropped the 2 at the logs and made sure I picked up a couple to have just in case I needed a lot of repairs. Alright, so I'm laying my 1 near the trap, and then laid 1 along the line. So here I was dropping food, and for multi-kills, if I wanted to kill 5, I would have dropped 5, but I only had 3 there, so I was planning on getting them all in a pile and then just killing 3. So right there you saw me right click, and I only saw 4 runners, and I know on this wave there should be at least 5. So I started with getting my triple multi-kill, and then I fixed the trap, dropped some more wrong food there, and then that's about the time I realized that I should really go check out where this one runner is. And here's where I start to see it, and it's pretty far south, so I start dropping wrong food, and I use that time to go there and restock and get some extra food. And just a note, when you're on the dispenser, you can't use the horn, so you can always call out loud. The person should see it. So here I started running north, and I was going to relay kind of what my first call is, and then that's a moment where I just lost where the runner was, so it's going south again, and I lay a couple more wrong food there. And as you can see here, it ate one of the 2 that were there, and that shot it a little north. So even though this isn't the prettiest of defending here, it just shows you how when they start getting south and some people don't know what to do, you can always use that wrong food, get it further north, and if the rest of the team was finished and waiting on me, they'd have time to shoot the cannon at it, because as you can see, it's taken me a little bit of time just to get it off the cannon there into the trap, but eventually it ends up eating the food. And then the wave 9 here, this is the one I mentioned when I was drawing on the picture, how I used the diagonal line to kind of draw a runner back in that kept going south. So just like any other wave, this method, it's just the same exact first call really, and then the second calls could vary a little bit just depending on if you're trying hard to get a multi-kill. And right there, that runner that just walked past me was a little west. And as you can see, the way the wrong food and right food set up, that guy actually got drawn back in. And I know my method's not, or this method, well, I use this too, but it's not the greatest on wave 9, but this just shows how you can still manage it. So right there, I laid tofu, and then I started that diagonal line with crackers, which was the wrong food at the time. And I'm going to restock because on wave 9 there's going to be 9 runners, and if you use a food per runner, that's 9 there, and then you just start running out of food delay to lure them. So I laid my diagonal line, and I go back there, make sure my wrong foods are replenished next to the cannon, and I start drawing a line to the trap. And it's hard to see, but one of the yellow dots walking south of the cannon now will actually do a U-turn around it, and pretty soon now you'll just see a runner coming to the picture, coming from the south right there. And that guy actually walked up south, and then the diagonal line curled him around. And then right here you just see me. For some reason, whenever I do a right click and try to walk here, it didn't bring me anywhere near the trap, so I drop a tofu in the middle of nowhere, and it just takes me a little bit longer to kill the runner. But as you can see, I'm in control there. The runner's going nowhere. There's bad food that down there to the south to make him turn around, and he finally dies. Alright, so wave 10 is going to be the final wave that I put some commentary on. There's just a couple clips left of the remaining waves. But this one's a little different since there's no cannon over there. So I first start by drawing that diagonal line of wrong food, and then I lay food at the traps, a couple more good food along the way, and then as I start getting near the logs, I lay some wrong food. So as you can see, this runner's coming over here. There's a worms and cracker there. They were laid on a tofu call, and it angles them back towards where the trap is. So now I get the second call, and this is usually when I go for some sort of multi-kill, and I still always pick up 2 logs because you can kill 6 runners with 2 logs individually, but I decided when it works out I go for the multi-kill of either 4 or 5. So I have 4 lined up here. The first guy eats the food, and then I just wait, and the other 3 are gonna all eat the food at the same time. And then pretty much the role of the defender, the attacker is going to give you spiked eggs, and you're going to run over to the lava pit. And with the defender, you can just spam click the lava, and it will dunk the eggs pretty fast. Then you'll go over and you'll pass all 8 to the collector. And just one of the things to help out the healer is before you start running for the cannon, try to make sure you at least have a reasonable amount of health so the healer's not pulled away from the rest of the group. Then you run to the cannon and try to click on the Omega egg.